Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you a very important video. It's probably going to be the most important video in terms of Monster Legends content on my channel. And today I would like to talk about quite a few important things. So last night I did a live stream, and this was a comment after the live stream and stuff like that. Uh, it was a really mean comment too, by the way. I mean, I removed the comment because it just kept getting on my mind. I wasn't really offended by the fact he called me ugly and stupid. Uh, that's just, I mean, like, just mean people. I've been called that before. Uh, the reason why it bothered me so much is he said I didn't know. I he didn't said I didn't know anything about runes. So when I asked him what do I not know about runes, he said you have three level one gold runes on Singularius and one speed rune on Mega Ostium. I'd like to give my reason as to why I have like really shitty runes on Singularius. This is just these runes are just meant to increase his gold count. I'd like to first point out he's level 50 fucking 5. Uh, when a I'm never gonna be able to use this monster because he's not 100. In fact, that goes with all the other monsters in Monster Legends. If they're not 100, there's no point in using them uh, for competitive play, and he's not 100 yet, so I just shove a bunch of gold runes on him. Uh, that's my first reason is I'm not using Singularius yet. Singularius isn't done yet. A lot of my monsters aren't done. I wish all of them were done, but they're not done. It takes a few days to get them done. Uh, I'm currently working on Tymeron, who's a 95 at the moment. Uh, but that was Singularius reason why Singularius only has three gold runes and why that's just one of the reasons is I'm not using them for competitive play yet. So I actually want to talk about then I'm going to talk about Mega Ostium. He brought up the fact that I only had like one level speed rune on Mega Ostium. I don't know if he watched the last entirety of the stream, but I actually did open up a slot for a strength rune for when I was doing arena fights. Uh, but yeah, the reason why I only had one speed rune on Mega Ostium was the fact that I only had one rune thing locked. I mean, one thing unlocked. The other two were locked. So essentially, I had to pay the rest of that amount, which is a total of 40 gems. Uh, Keep in mind, some monsters hatch with no rune slots at all, and that's 45 gems. I really don't want to spend 45 gems just to open slots for a monster uh, that I don't have any runes for yet. I don't have any good high level runes to put on him. Uh, it's just the thing. I didn't have any good runes to put on him yet. I didn't want to put my good runes on him yet specifically because I'm working on other monsters at 110, and I'd like to put my highest level runes on those monsters. Uh, and that's the thing really. With that, uh, that's the thing. Like with that, really, it's you usually have to spend 45 gems just to have all three slots. If you don't have all three slots, I think that's a really stupid thing. I think every monster should be born with all three rune slots, because runes are such an important part of this game, and I find it really crummy that you actually have to spend gems, like the equivalents of what you buy for like real world money, or it just take a really long time to get on things you should have to begin with. I think that's really stupid. Uh, do I wish they'd stop it? Yes, all that jazz. Um, no, I have a list of things to say, and the first one is Rune Dilemma. Uh, a lot of okay, this is one of the top reasons of why like a lot of my monsters don't have a lot of good runes at all, uh, or just have like some runes. I save my runes. I save my runes for leveling. If we scroll down here, we're gonna go all the way over here to the rune building, and we're gonna go to crafting. These are all my runes. I save all my runes, and for crafting and stuff like that, to make them better and stuff and all that jazz. I currently have two level 9 runes I can't use yet because I'm working on the upgrading of that building, of the rune building. That's what I recommend all you do is actually level up your rune temple. It is the most important thing in your game because it allows you to compete with other players. Because at the end of the day, runes are the thing that matter. Uh, who has the highest runes? Whose denier is faster than the other? Uh, Runes are just an essential part of this game, and if you can't use them, that's really hindering to your monsters. That's why I think all rune slots should be free, so you can put your runes on the monster. And I see honestly, if it's not a level 5 rune, I have no heartly intent of using it. So as you can see, I have a bunch of level 4 runes. I don't have any level 5 runes. I like to give my monsters level 5 runes at the very least, because that is the common thing. People use level 5 runes. That's just the thing. Nobody ever walks in a match and just use full level 4 runes unless they don't know about crafting and stuff like that. And the method of four runes. I mean, one level 4 rune, or any just high level rune, and 3 level 1 runes to get a chance to craft that high level rune, uh, and all that jazz. Yeah, that's why I don't have any runes at the moment to put on my monsters. It's just that's the way it is. And that's the way it is with a lot of people too that play this game for free. You will see very similar things with other people or just competitive people in general in this game that don't want to spend money on runes. Uh, it's just not a thing. People save up runes. People save up runes to get a level 5 rune because a level 5 rune is way better than a level 4 rune. Uh, they're just better percentages and stuff like that. Uh, so yeah, that's the thing with that's the rune dilemma. Like at the end of the day, are you faster than the enemy? Are you Do you do more damage output? Do you have like level 9 strength runes? If you do, then the game is yours. If the attacking monster actually moves. Uh, all right, let's talk about every fight in a nutshell. Uh, this is still related to runes. Okay, so when you go into a PvP match, do you willingly toss yourself into a game with a Chimeron with full speed runes? Wait for an answer. No, no, you don't. The answer was obviously no. Unless you could actually deal with him first, unless you can actually like burst him down before he actually did anything. This can be said with any other denier in the game. Are you faster than the enemy denier? Are you able to burst down the monster that you need to burst down right away? That is most commonly the case with like Voltic. Voltic is a monster that has 4 moves. People shove a lot of stamina runes on it, and that's all you really needs to do in the event where you, the player, have no life runes invested. You literally just go full speed runes. Uh, your deny monster doesn't deny the monster. Your other 2 monsters are sitting here with like either like 2 strengths and a speed, or like just full speed runes, and you can't burst Voltic down. Voltic wins because you didn't put any life runes on your monster. People say life runes are shit in this game. Life runes are very important in this game. They're not as important as speed. No, speed is just like honestly, if they didn't have the extra turn thing, like the chance to get an extra turn, I think people would just go towards life runes to stay bulkier and stuff like that. Uh, I think the tank meta is approaching because there's a lot of monsters nowadays that can do double damage buffs, and people might be just go towards shoving life runes on their monster, uh, just to keep the fight going. And especially with like Demise, Demise has AoE regeneration plus double damage. Uh, well, I don't know if that's for. I wonder if that's just for her. But they're all monsters. There's like Gretchen who has like AoE regeneration and shields, and mirror and stuff like that, and that could very well be a thing. Uh, like it's just at the end of the day, that's the thing that people I think can see people doing the tank meta someday. It could very well be a possibility where the monster stats are just too high to be bursting down in multiple turns. You actually have to survive. You have to actually take your time. Uh, yeah, and that's with that. Every fight in a nutshell, really. If you don't have high enough runes, uh, if you don't have anything to burst down the attacker, you will lose at the end. at the end of the day, if you can't deal with the buffs, if you can't deal with the Nanai, that's just every game in a nutshell. You don't ever go willingly into a fight if there's a Timeron or a Voltic because they win if you can't do anything. Uh, you win if you can get rid of the other two monsters, honestly, with Timeron and with Voltic, if you just kill Voltic, the other team doesn't have any damage because their sole purpose was to defend the Voltic, and the Voltic is now dead. So that's every fight in a nutshell. We willingly don't go into a game that has a higher speed deny monster, because you'll never get a turn, and that's the thing with deny monsters. They're meant to not have anyone go or needs to go and stuff like that. Alright, we're gonna go to another important thing in this video called level gaps. So in this game, besides runes, this kind of ties up with runes. The other thing that ties up with runes for first is level gaps. Uh, Leveling is such an important thing in this game, uh, because it's simply due to the fact that, like in most games, let's say like in Team Wars, or not Team Wars, what's a good example? Let's say World of Warcraft or anything like that. If you go into PvP, you will if you're like level 1 or 3 or whatever, you're gonna get squashed by the level 100 guy without minimal effort. That's just the thing with everything in general. Uh, like if you're higher level than the enemy, you're not gonna have any problem going through it. It'll just take a turn. That's the thing. Uh, Level gaps are very prominent in team wars. That's why people. Okay. This is why people are cautious of like recruiting people that are like level 16 or 18. Uh, the thing with that is the less people you have that aren't prepared for war. This includes people that are just really under level. Like they don't have any monsters to meet the requirements. They're not that strong. Uh, that's how people win wars. Is honestly how many people that you don't have prepared, uh, or just really low leveled, uh, and that jazz. People will literally do that. People will literally just attack people that aren't ready for war, and that's in fact what's happening in this current war that I'm in. Uh, let's load that up real quick. Yeah, this is what happens in the current war. Here, sorry, I gotta move this to the side. This is what's happening in the current war. We're currently losing this war. Uh, they don't have their lowest level players. Just like they have one level 30 monster. And looking at our guys, we have like one guy. We have one guy with only a level 18 monster. We have one guy with two monsters, three monsters. None of them are really rare. And with the other guys, they at least have a epic monster on their team, and they're all higher level than all these guys. Uh, so yeah, these are all, as you notice, these are all cleaned up because mostly the players usually just attack people that aren't prepared for war, or they can deal with them because their runes are higher. Uh, yeah, and that's the thing with level gapping. It's just a thing, and it's a thing in Monster Legends you can't avoid. Really, you will have, unless you actually look for players that are higher level, you're gonna have players that are low level, and it's really hard for them. Level gaps are really like crummy in Monster Legends. Uh, they just are, and it's never a good thing too. Uh, let's go on to well. What more should I say about level gapping? Hmm. I guess that's why you should upgrade your temples right away. You need to upgrade your temples. That's the first thing you need to prioritize. Is you need to be able to get to level 100. You need to be able to do that. That just needs to be a thing. And it's really I know it's really hard for beginners. Mind you, it is really hard for beginners. Beginners have the worst luck in this game, because they're not to like level 100. They don't have a level 100 monsters, and everybody runs around with level 100 monsters, which is really vital and stuff to the game. Uh, and yeah, that's the thing. Like that's actually every team war in a nutshell. Really is just how many coins can you rake up from the people that aren't prepared? Who is not prepared for war? Who doesn't have the who doesn't have high runes? Who's easy to take care of? That's every thought in a nutshell. really. Um, Unbalanced monsters. All right, this is another thing. So if the monster isn't broken or just doesn't have a great trait, it is immediately disregarded in favor of better monsters. Like for dark monsters, denying wise, we always go to Krampus because uh, he has the greatest deny moves. I don't know if he has the highest speed anymore, but he has the best deny moves. He has AoE freeze. He has two status effects moves. He has a single target freeze. Overall, he's good. Why would you want to use anything else in fights? We got like Voltic, who's the best in terms of like just all the moves. He's really considered really above powered. He's broke. People consider him broken, and he is broken. I think he's broken. Uh, and people just disregard every other Thunder legend in the Thunder category. They don't go towards Ura because he doesn't have multiple turns. They don't go to RFO FL because he doesn't have extra turns. They can't compete with the power of Voltic. Uh, that's just the thing. Everybody wants Voltic. Uh, he's just really solid in general. He's just really hard not to lose a fight with, uh, or not to lose a fight with because he's just that good. If he moves, then he just wins the game for you because he just has so many turns. Uh, People think that's okay because of his relatively high stamina cost, but if you think about it, if you just shove a bunch of like stamina runes and just have someone give stamina regen, you win the game at that point. That's just not hard to do. So because nowadays, like there's Incognita with AoE stamina regeneration. There's I don't know if Demise does regeneration, but Lux does it. Like things that just instantly refill stamina. Uh, Essentially, you win the game at some point. It doesn't even matter if they have life runes. At some point, you just get bursted down. Uh, Unless you have damage over time. Uh, And there are popular monsters too. I guess I can add popular monsters to that too. Like people really like Varuna. People really like a specific monster in a category that's just popular in design, or just in general, and they disregard everything else. Uh, and there are things that are better than Varuna. There are things like a Tony Akarni. He was immune to freeze. He does AoE. He removes stamina better. Uh, and all that jazz. He has better resistance. There are monsters with better resistances, but they're completely tossed away just simply because of the popularity of the monster. Uh, if the monster doesn't have broken stats, that people just disregard it right away. If they're not stats that other monsters already have, then people just toss it aside. They don't see any other way of using it. Every monster has their use. It just depends on the setup of your team. A lot of the times, in order to even use the setup, you have to have Kalik, just to keep them moving. Uh, we're gonna go to Monster Legends in a nutshell, which is the final bit that I want to talk about. So Monster Legends in general. What is it as a whole game? I've played this game for quite a few months now, and I do have the common grasp of the game. Uh, and that is, at the end of the day, where are you in the game? Uh, can you do the stuff to get ahead? Do you have runes to upgrade your monsters? Do you have what's your level capacity? How high are your monsters? Because leveling is the thing. The leveling and the runes are the thing at the end of the day that matter. You can walk around with like the worst monsters in the game. But if you're a higher level, let's just say you have Logic Khan and Thunderhair, and they're just max level. At that point, you win just simply because you're higher level. Your stats are way higher than level 100 monsters. That's how relevant leveling and runes are. Is if you're higher than the opponent, if your runes are better than the opponent, you win. That's how every game is in a nutshell. That's every team war in a nutshell. If you have higher runes, you win. If you have higher levels, you win. Uh, if your monsters are currently better than mostly all the other monsters in the game, you win. That's every game. That's literally every game in a nutshell. And it kind of bothers me. I mean, like it doesn't bother me at the same time because I've played competitive games. I know this game is competitive related to like Pokemon or like League of Legends. It's really no different than those games. I've played competitive games before. This is the thing of every competitive game is what level you are at the moment. Uh, and what deny monsters do you have? What's the situation? It's all situational. Uh, some situations work better than others. Some team comps work way better than others. Uh, and that's why people don't go for one or the other because there's always that ungodly choice. There's always that godly choice, I mean. Uh, why use one thing when there's just something really good and broken to begin with? Uh, and that really breaks creativity too. Uh, we don't see the creativity of tanking. Like I don't see people using shields that much. Shields are really great in the game, and people just toss it aside because you're not dealing any damage. Keep in mind you should be using shielding moves on the supportive monster. I mean, your supportive monster should be the one that does the shields and regenerations and all that jazz. Just the straight up buffer, that's just the support. That's every comp in a nutshell. You need to have a denier, you need to have a buffer, and you need to have a attacker. That's just every comp. That's just the balanced comp. That's just how everything is. It just depends on what you have at the end of the day. Uh, Things that I actually wish that Monster Legends actually did was give like just start like straight up the bat they give people a free legendary. They just choose one legendary to give and they give it to the person as soon as they hit like level 10 or 20 or 25 or 30. Uh, I think it should be a mandatory thing because not everybody's going to have legendaries right away and everybody else is. Or at least the people that are ahead, I wish that they give at least a legendary so they have even though it's so again it's totally dependent on level, but if it's like equal level, then you're not going to be outrun or outdone by the enemy that is equal level than you if you know have the same monsters. If you're using the same legendary, the result should be the same. Uh, I think that would be really nice of Social Point if they actually did that. Um, I think if they actually like, if they just made, I think if they just made freeze, if they didn't have like repetitive denying like freeze is such a common thing in the game, and freeze is the best immunity. Immunity to freeze is the best in the game. If they didn't have like repetitive chains, like if you can't freeze repetitively, if you can't possess repetitively, I think people would really give other things a chance at that point. But that's never really gonna happen. Uh, I'm sorry this video is kind of dragging on because I really need to think of stuff that are really important to this game that need just have to be out there. Um, I will say that like it is I know like it's really hard for like let's say it's really hard for people that want to play competitively, but you have members that just play it for casually. Uh, like this is like a wide variety of low level players because they had just played the game. They have just gotten to this point and they just want to join a team because they can now, and they get stuff out of it. That's just everything too. Is like they want to get better at the game. Uh, they want the monsters and they just want to play for fun. They'll attack once or twice and that's about it and carry on with their day. And with competitive players, that's not really the case with us. Um, let's see here. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna do. Oh, we're gonna do this. Um, what else should I really talk about? Uh, I think that's all that really needs to be said. Uh, if there's anything else you want me to talk about or like comment, go ahead and put it in the descriptions below. Uh, I guess in terms of final message, don't be mean to people. Don't just assume that they don't know what's going on or they don't know how to play the game at the end of the day. Uh, you should really watch other people's videos before just making that assumption. It's just really rude, and you're not even like looking into the person. You're not looking to see their videos or anything like that. And that's all that I really need to say. That's all that really needs to be done. Treat your low level players with respect. They're just trying to grow up in the community. They're trying to get better at the game. Give them a chance to get better. Um, Obviously, if you do have a lot of low level players, you might want to let some of them go because you're not going to win any rewards. Uh, because the more low level players you have, you will lose the war. People just go straight for the low level people just to rake up the coins, and that's how you win the war is by how much coins you have. Uh, so yeah, that's all I really have to say. This has been Dib the Awesome. I'll catch you guys later.